Do you wish more new patients were coming in the door? You are doing virtual talks or even in-person talks in front of a small group of people right now. But how do you actually do a talk to get patients to schedule effectively? I'm also going to be sharing with you, even if you don't do virtual talks, what's a hot tip that you can put in place if people are calling you by phone and wanting to schedule, and what does your front desk say, or how do you weave it into the conversation you're having to book more new patients? So this is Chen Yen, your 6 and 7 figure practice makeover mentor at introvertedvisionary.com, your show host for ChiroSecure today. So let's talk about virtual speaking. And when you are limited by in-person marketing, it's such a great way to attract new patients into the practice. But let's get right into, well, have you ever felt disappointed when you've done a talk before, but few people, and people even say, oh, that was so helpful, that was great, but then they're not actually booking from the talk. And so, or even if people are calling you in your office, then what to say. So one key tip, and I'll give you 3 quick tips. The first tip is to actually bring up what is the shortfall of the current approach they're taking. So that might be, what's the shortfall of the conventional medical approach? And talk about that. See, one mistake that many chiropractors make is to primarily just talk about how you can help. But the challenge is, if people aren't really seeing the value of it and understanding the consequences of continuing to go down the path that they are right now, then they may not actually move forward with care. So the most important thing is to bring up what is a shortfall of the conventional medical approach or the current path that they're on right now, and bring up what's frustrating about it and talk about it. Then bring up what could be different instead by using your approach. So before I mention that, so what could be different instead by using your approach, meaning giving people a high-level clinical perspective of how it works. So it's not just where, well, chiropractic care is better because it's, we need to focus on the spine and things like that, right? Like it's really helping people understand that if we do X, then Y will happen. So if we do X, XYZ approach, then it will be more effective. It will be longer lasting. It will actually get rid of the issue completely at the core, whatever it might be that you're helping them with, or to highlight what that is about, and then go into how you can help them. So that's the number 1 tip. So this is actually a framework that I just mentioned to you, which can be used even in conversations when potential patients are calling your front desk. If people are having a doubt about scheduling, then you could have them bring up this, saying it in terms of what's missing about the current approach, and what are some approaches that are addressed in your clinic. And also, certainly you don't want your front desk people to get into anything clinical. So that part you're going to leave out if your front desk is answering the phone. But at least bring up, some of the shortfalls we've seen with conventional medical approach, or could actually be these couple areas. But what we find is that if we dig into these things and have you come in and get seen by the doctor to identify what those issues might be, then this will actually get better, right? So that's one way to go about it. The second hot tip about bring in more patients from your talks is to share why it is that you decided you created this offer. So why did you decide to put together your services or whatever it is that you're offering? More of the personal inspiration for that. So maybe it's from your experience of this in the past, your personal experience of yourself going through that issue, or if you don't have any experience with that. Maybe it's some personal experience that touched you when you saw someone else have that issue. Certainly think back to what was it that really inspired you. Maybe what might have been, it's not being like a certain level of care standards that you saw. For example, we have a chiropractor client of ours who he worked at he was an associate at another practice before he went out on his own, and it was a high volume practice, and he thought to himself, you know what, I wouldn't take my mom here. And so that was part of his inspiration because people were just shuffled in and out, and not really, he felt that they weren't really being treated by the practice as if, really attentive kind of care to the patient. So that is what inspired him to actually start the practice. And so that is an important thing to bring up about why you decided to start your practice, why you decided to make the particular services available. So let's say if it is nutrition services or other kinds of services or stem cell, what is the reason why you chose to add these additional offerings into your practice? Because such and such and such, the personal story behind that, the inspiration behind why you created. So that way people feel connected to that purpose and of your practice beyond just, because otherwise they could just go to anyone. Would you say that's true? They could go to any chiropractor and it would just be pretty much the same in their minds. So see how you could build that connection and also stand out for them about why it is that you chose to offer this. The third quick tip is to give a limiter and a reason. So, why give a limiter and from your talk and how to give it? So, because one concern I often hear is, I really don't want to be pushy. I've seen how it's taught out there, and it's like, you got to be signing up today, and you start feeling like a used car salesman, sign up today, or such and such, but you are doctors, you are not used car salesmen. You don't need to be either. So that can feel real kind of inauthentic for those of you who are especially more introverted, like I am, for example, too, right? So, but how can you inspire people in a way that doesn't feel pushy? And when it comes to limiter, why limiter? Because think about it. Have you ever had some kind of thing that you were interested in, but there wasn't a deadline on it, and then you just thought, I'll take care of it, or I'll do that when I get a chance to, and then weeks go by and you kind of forget about it? Has that ever happened to you before? I know it's happened to me before. I know it's happened to a lot of people I've talked to before. And that's just natural, isn't it? Because we all have busy lives. And so the time when people are most inspired, when your audience is most inspired, is when they're right there with you, listening to you, whether it's virtual or in person, not 3 days later, not a week later, not 6 months later, not a year later, but literally right then when they're there with you in that moment. And so how can you inspire them to actually do something about it there, but without feeling pushy? So one is giving limiter of, it could be, what kind of limiters could there be? And then how could it be not pushy? So limiters can be time-based limiters. It could be, if you sign up today, then maybe they get a certain savings that they wouldn't get elsewhere, or if that's kosher with the laws of your state. Or if it is a limiter of X number of spots that you've set aside for them in your calendar this week. So that could be a limit. Or it could be some kind of a limiter where if they sign up today, then they will also get something additional, which normally is not included that you end up offering. So now let's talk about how to communicate that in such a way where it doesn't feel pushy. So there's actually this one about this, how there's like a done ones where there's these people in line for a coffee machine, right? And there's one person who just cut in front of someone else, and people in front of them were so mad. And then there's another person who who just went up to the front and said, can I, come in here because such and such and such. And guess what happened? That person's like, oh, sure, right? And what was the difference? Because this person shared a reason why they wanted to cut, right? So have you ever done, this works really well for those of you at the airport too. Have you ever been running late from the airport? Well, okay, I confess, I've done this myself. Like I'm running late, and then instead of just cutting in front of everybody in the front of the line, I bring up a reason about why, oh my gosh, my flight's leaving in a couple minutes. Can you please let me catch a plane? I really appreciate it, right? So notice the difference of cutting in line versus sharing a reason. So when you bring up a limiter, share the reason for why you're giving a limiter. For example, when we say, okay, there's X, I've set aside X spots in my calendar this week, right? And I want to make sure that because you took the time to be here today, I want to make sure you're taken care of. So notice that's very authentic and isn't pushy. And whatever you end up saying needs to be in alignment with what you feel in your heart as well. So with that, I thought about what would help you in if you're wanting to do talks more effectively, because it's just no fun if you're sharing and you're educating and you're helping people, but then it just feels like free public service all the time. And the truth is, people their health issues don't become better just by listening to you talk. Isn't that true? Like they get better when they can actually come in and you can help them as their doctor. So that's when if you have a more effective way to actually bring patients in the talk, then it can make a big difference. And so what else you need is, do you also have a good flow of your talk? So when I help our clients with this in our 6-figure speaking system for introverts, we talk about what is the overarching theme flow of the talk. Why? Because most of the decision about whether or not someone will decide to book with you happens even before the close of a talk. Don't get me wrong, the close is still really important. You could have a great talk and botch up the close, and then you will also have very few new patients from it. But if you could actually have both, if you could have a good overarching theme flow of your talk, get one signature talk dialed in. Just one, not like 3, not like 5, not more than that. You just need one. You just need one talk that brings in patients that you can give over and over again, and even put it on autopilot. When you get this dialed in, you could literally have now doing this in a webinar format, have it on autopilot working for you when you are sleeping, when you're eating dinner with your family, when you are resting, just relaxing, right? So you don't actually have to be there. You could totally even put it on autopilot. Imagine having something on autopilot bring new patients in the door. So if you'd like help with that, and then I also decided to give you, what are some top 10 best places to speak and get patients quick start guide right now, virtually right now even, right? So you don't have to necessarily feel like your hands are tied right now and the things that you used to do aren't really working as well. Like you could totally expand your reach this way. And so I'm going to give that to you. And you can also request to book a free chat with us to see how we can help you grow faster. So go to introvertedvisionary.com/gift virtual. So again, it's introvertedvisionary.com/gift virtual. So go there right now and then get the free downloads and a template that I'm also making sure you're going to be able to get a hold of to help you with bringing more patients in through virtual talks, and also you could do this in person. So that way you're really helping more people who need you. So to you waking up the planet, and to you helping more people who need you and making good money while doing it the introverted way.